Good day, everyone. My name is Jimel Arico Hermoso, and today I am here to discuss with you the topic assigned to me, which is the humidity, and also a chemical type of transducer, which is the hygrometer. But before all that, let me introduce to you first what kind of chemical the hygrometer will be measuring. The said chemical that the hygrometer is supposed to be measuring is humidity. But what is humidity? Humidity, according to National Geographic, is the amount of vapor in the air. The humidity will be high if there is a lot of vapor in the air, and the higher the humidity, the wetter it feels outside. One prominent example of humidity is the formation of fog. Since a fog shows that the relative humidity has reached 100% and the air temperature has reached the dew point or frost point temperature, causing saturation. That is why there's always fog in Baguio City. The temperature is constantly low, which can be correlated to high relative humidity. This indicates that the area has a potential for events of daily fog occurrence. Now that we, now that we have discussed what humidity is, we will now move on and focus on the assigned device for me, the hygrometer. A hygrometer is an instrument used in meteorology. Wala. Now that we have discussed what humidity is, we will move on and focus on the assigned device for me, the hygrometer. A hygrometer is an instrument used in meteorological science to measure the humidity or amount of water vapor in the air. Several major types of hygrometers are used to measure humidity. Now, let us discuss the history of hygrometer. The device has been present since the 1480s and was first primitively constructed by Leonardo da Vinci. In 1600s, Francesco Folli made important strides and developed a practical apparatus model, which can be seen in this slide. In 1755, another well-rounded version of the device was developed by Swiss polymath Johann Heinrich Lambert. Then finally, in 1783, Swiss physicist and geologist Horace Benedict de Saussure invented the first ever hygrometer using human hair to calculate humidity. As time goes by, the hygrometer continuously developed and was used by people around the world. Now, we are going to move on and talk about the hygrometer working principle, which is the dry and wet bulb hygrometer. Dry and wet bulb hygrometer function through the phenomenon known as evaporative cooling. Water evaporates from a surface and becomes cold as water molecules absorb heat from the surface during evaporation. Because of this effect, the wet bulb consistently exhibits a lower temperature than the dry bulb. Combination of dry air and low humidity can cause high evaporation, which decreases wet bulb temperature. When the atmosphere is quite humid with very high humidity, the temperature of the wet bulb decreases less, as evaporation from the wet bulb stands low. With 100% humidity, the dry bulb and wet bulb will show the same temperature. That is because of negligible water evaporation from the wet bulb. Therefore, no cooling effect emerges. The device hygrometer was continuously developed and constructed as time passed. So, many versions and techniques of measuring humidity continually improve. Those new and different hygrometers are the mechanical, electrical, dew point, and psychrometer, which are all going to be discussed in the next few slides. The mechanical hygrometer uses organic substances, such as thin materials, such as human hair, ox gut, and etc., just like the first ever hygrometer, to expand and contract according to the variation in humidity. As variations occur in the material used, the spring of the mechanical hygrometer moves the needle on the dial, thus relative humidity can be calculated. The next type of hygrometer is the electrical hygrometer, which which has two types, which is the resistive and capacitive. The electrical hygrometer has two types, resistive and capacitive. It measures humidity by analyzing the variation in electrical resistance of a fine layer of semiconductor transparency or semiconductor device. On the other hand, other hygrometers detect variations in transparency, weight, or volume of substances that respond to humidity. Its calculation is rooted in changes in capacitance or resistance. The device usually possesses a sensor to measure variations in an on-chip layer or semiconductor, which is, for this example, is lithium chloride. The next type of hygrometer is the dew point hygrometer. The dew point hygrometer usually consists of a polished mirror made of metal that is cooled at a fixed pressure and vapor content until moisture begins settling on it. The dew point is the metal's temperature at which condensation starts. Then the fourth and last example or types of hygrometer is the psychrometer hygrometer. The psychrometer hygrometer comprises two thermometers, a wet bulb, and a dry bulb. They are used to determine humidity through evaporation. The wet bulb thermometer is covered with a wet cloth on its enlarged side. There will be a temperature change by thoroughly rotating both thermometers or gusting air over the bulbs. Humidity in the air can be measured by analyzing the temperature difference between the wet bulb and the dry bulb. With all the developments with the hygrometer device, it can now be used in multiple applications. To be exact, here's a list of uh, where we can use and apply hygrometers. The first one is in measuring the relative humidity indoors and outdoors. The second one is the predicting the weather. Third one is helping increase productivity in the office. Fourth is taking care of food and musical instruments like guitars and violins. Fifth is protecting old books and antiques in museums from relative humidity. Six is storing goods in warehouses. Seven is growing plants in a greenhouse. Eight is storing wine in a wine cellar. Nine is monitoring humidity in a gym or yoga studio. And 10 is monitoring humidity for a baby's room. Now that we have discussed the basic knowledge needed for humidity and hygrometer, uh, we are now going to move on and discuss with you how hygrometer is used and the application and how to properly use hygrometers. This video demonstrates how dew point hygrometer works, wherein the percentage shows the humidity percentage of the room. It is an indoor humidity hygrometer that helps the person or family keep track of the humidity percentage in their homes so that their home ambient will be comfortable. It is stated in the video that the required percentage of humidity in the house should be between 40 to 60%. Uh, at the same time, below 30% of humidity will affect air concentration in the room. In comparison, above 70% of humidity will cause air concentration and condensation. Lastly, to control humidity percent of your home, you can open your doors and open electric fans or ventilators. That concludes this video presentation, and I hope that you all learned something from this video. Thank you.